Imagine several nuns humiliating a young woman because they believed she didn't deserve to be a nun. Well, that's exactly what happened. She fell ill and needed medical care. She received the stigmata of Christ and had several revelations. She endured the pains of souls in purgatory and had a strong connection with her guardian angel. Do you know who I'm talking about? If you thought of Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich, you're correct. The story of Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich takes place during a tumultuous period in Europe, specifically in Germany, between the years 1774 and 1824. Anne Catherine Emmerich, also known as Anna Katharina Emmerich, was born in 1774 in Flamsk, a small village in Westphalia, Germany. Anne Catherine Emmerich was an Augustinian nun and Catholic mystic known for her visions and mystical experiences, including stigmata similar to those of Christ. She is described as having lived a life of deep religious devotion and physical suffering, attributed to her participation in the salvation of souls and the expiation of other sins. During the period in which Anne Catherine Emmerich lived, Germany was undergoing significant changes. This was the period of the rise and fall of the Holy Roman Empire, as well as the Napoleonic Wars, which had a profound impact on Central Europe. Napoleon Bonaparte's presence in the region brought not only military conflicts but also political and social changes. Meanwhile, culture and religion played fundamental roles in people's lives in Germany. Anne Catherine Emmerich, with her religious devotion and mystical experiences, reflected this aspect of German society at the time, where faith and spirituality were central parts of everyday life. Anne Catherine Emmerich's life of sacrifice is a testimony to deep religious devotion and dedication to others. She lived a life marked by suffering and dedication to her faith. From a very young age, Anne Catherine demonstrated exceptional devotion to religion, preferring to go to church instead of participating in leisure activities with other children. Her life of sacrifice began early, spending long hours in prayer and meditation, often experiencing visions and dreams related to the life of Christ. One of the most striking aspects of her life was the experience of Christ's wounds, which she began to manifest in her own flesh. These stigmata were considered as a mystical participation in the sufferings of Jesus Christ and are widely recognized as a sign of holiness among Catholics. Furthermore, Anne Catherine fervently dedicated herself to the salvation of souls, offering her sufferings as expiation for the sins of others and for the souls in purgatory. She saw her own suffering as a way to unite herself with Christ's sacrifice for the redemption of humanity. Despite the difficulties and challenges she faced throughout her life, Anne Catherine remained faithful to her religious vocation and her mission to serve God and others. Her life of sacrifice and devotion inspired many faithful throughout the centuries, making her a revered figure in the Catholic tradition. Her devotion from childhood was so remarkable that she experienced visions and allegorical dreams related to the life of Christ from her early years. These mystical experiences were interpreted as signs of her unique spiritual vocation and a special connection with the sacred. Furthermore, Anne Catherine was known for her piety and kindness, characteristics that distinguished her from a young age. Her preference for prayer and religious life over worldly activities evidenced her early vocation and her search for divine presence in her life. This devotion from childhood laid the groundwork for the extraordinary spiritual events that would mark her adult life, including the experience of Christ's wounds and her dedication to the salvation of souls. Throughout her journey, Anne Catherine Emmerich remained faithful to her religious vocation, inspiring many with her unwavering devotion and love for God. The rejection in the convent was a significant episode in her life, as she faced significant obstacles in her pursuit of a consecrated religious life. Despite her fervent desire to enter a convent and dedicate herself entirely to God, Anne Catherine encountered resistance from the nuns, who rejected her request for admission. This rejection was deeply discouraging for Anne Catherine, who had nurtured the dream of living a life of devotion and contemplation in the convent. The refusal of the nuns to accept her as a member of the monastic community was a harsh blow to her, resulting in profound sadness and despair. The inability to fulfill her desire to enter the convent not only left her emotionally shattered but also had a negative impact on her physical health. Anne Catherine fell ill and weak, unable to find solace amidst the rejection she faced. This experience of rejection in the convent also tested Anne Catherine's faith and determination. Despite the initial discouragement, she did not give up on her spiritual quest and continued to seek ways to serve God and follow her religious vocation, even if it meant facing unforeseen adversities and challenges. The medical care faced by Anne Catherine Emmerich was a significant part of her journey of suffering and sacrifice. Throughout her life, she had to deal with various health issues, including the use of prescribed medications that ultimately proved harmful to her. Like many people of her time, Anne Catherine relied on doctors and their medicines to alleviate her physical sufferings. However, her trust often resulted in negative consequences, as the treatments available at the time were not always effective or suitable for her conditions. Anne Catherine experienced the harmful side effects of certain medications prescribed by doctors, which ended up worsening her health rather than improving it. This situation highlights the limitations of medical practice at the time and the lack of understanding about certain health conditions. Additionally, the cost of medications also posed a challenge for Anne Catherine and her family. Medicines were expensive and often difficult to obtain, adding a financial burden to her already difficult situation. The conflicts and persecutions faced by Anne Catherine Emmerich were a significant part of her journey of faith and sacrifice. Throughout her life, she encountered various forms of opposition and adversity, including situations where she was forced to humiliate herself before other nuns. One form of persecution Anne Catherine faced was rejection by the nuns in her requests to join a convent. Despite her sincere desire to dedicate her life to God and religious life, she was turned down several times, which left her discouraged and ill. Furthermore, Anne Catherine was also subjected to humiliations by other nuns and religious authorities. She was forced to kneel before the nuns and ask for forgiveness, even though she had not committed any serious offense. These acts of humiliation were imposed on her as a form of punishment or control, causing great emotional and spiritual suffering for Anne Catherine. These conflicts and persecutions tested Anne Catherine's faith and resilience but also demonstrated her deep devotion and perseverance in the face of adversity. Anne Catherine Emmerich's mystical experiences were a significant part of her spiritual life and contributed to her reputation as an exceptional religious figure. Throughout her life, she reported having various mystical experiences, including visions of the life of Christ and participation in the sufferings of souls in purgatory. One of the most striking characteristics of Anne Catherine's mystical experiences was her ability to visualize and report vivid details of Jesus Christ's life. She described having authentic and allegorical visions of Christ's life, in which she witnessed crucial events such as the crucifixion, resurrection, and moments of teaching and miracles by Jesus. Her visions were so detailed and accurate that they impressed even religious scholars of the time. Additionally, Anne Catherine also reported being granted the gift of sharing the sufferings of souls in purgatory. She described feeling the pain and anguish of these souls in their purification process and dedicated part of her life to prayer and sacrifice on their behalf. These mystical experiences not only enriched Anne Catherine's spiritual life but also influenced her understanding of faith and her mission to serve God and others. Her visions and mystical experiences were considered authentic by many contemporaries and contributed to her reputation as a revered figure in the Catholic tradition. Anne Catherine Emmerich is known to have been endowed with the gift of clairvoyance, an ability that allowed her to know things that would be humanly impossible to know. This gift is often associated with the mystical experiences and visions she reported throughout her life. The gift of clairvoyance allowed Anne Catherine to access information about past, present, and even future events, as well as spiritual and divine matters. She described having detailed and accurate visions of Jesus Christ's life, including specific moments of his passion, death, and resurrection. Additionally, she was also able to visualize scenes from the lives of saints and historical events related to the Christian faith. Her ability to know intimate and precise details about people and situations was often considered extraordinary. For example, Anne Catherine was able to accurately describe the illness and death of people she had never personally known, as well as offer information about their lives and personalities. These extraordinary insights were often attributed to divine inspiration and supernatural intervention. It is believed that Anne Catherine received these insights through divine revelations, which were granted to her as part of her spiritual mission to serve God and the Church. Anne Catherine's gift of clairvoyance not only distinguished her as an exceptional spiritual figure but also made her a source of guidance and comfort for those seeking her help and advice. Her ability to access knowledge beyond human understanding established her as one of the most influential and respected figures in the Catholic tradition, and her visions and revelations continue to inspire and intrigue the faithful to this day. And Catherine Emmerich had an intimate and special relationship with her guardian angel, who played a significant role in her spiritual life. Her guardian angel not only protected her but also guided, corrected, and comforted her on her spiritual journey. For Anne Catherine, her guardian angel was a constant and reliable presence. She often reported how her angel guided and inspired her in moments of difficulty and uncertainty. Her guardian angel was her closest spiritual companion, always present to offer guidance and support. In addition to guiding her, Anne Catherine's guardian angel also corrected her when necessary, drawing her attention to behaviors or thoughts that were not in accordance with God's will. This corrective aspect of their relationship was seen as an act of love and care, intended to help her grow spiritually and become closer to God. And Catherine fully trusted her guardian angel and followed its instructions with devotion and confidence. After Anne Catherine Emmerich's passing, her tomb became a site of pilgrimage and prayer for numerous Catholic faithful. Despite the challenges and adversities faced, such as the bombings during World War II, the tomb remained intact, becoming a symbol of devotion and faith for those seeking spiritual solace. Devotion to Anne Catherine Emmerich as an influential and sanctified spiritual figure led many people to visit her tomb in search of inspiration, healing, and intercession. For these pilgrims, Anne Catherine's tomb represented not only a final resting place but also a place where they could connect with her spiritual presence and experience the closeness of God. The resilience of Anne Catherine Emmerich's pilgrimage site even in the face of historical adversities, such as the bombings of World War II, was seen by many as a sign of divine protection and confirmation of Anne Catherine's sanctity and spiritual importance. This resilience of the pilgrimage site served to strengthen the faith of those who visited it and reinforce their devotion to Anne Catherine Emmerich as a powerful intercessor and spiritual inspiration. Thus, Anne Catherine Emmerich's tomb not only became a site of devotion and prayer but also a lasting symbol of the ongoing presence of her spiritual influence in the lives of those who believed in her holiness and sought her intercession with God. Anne Catherine Emmerich passed away on February 9, 1824, in the city of Dülmen, Germany. She died at the age of 49. The exact cause of her death is not entirely clear, but it is generally attributed to a combination of chronic illnesses and physical debility, consequences of her life of sacrifice and suffering. Anne Catherine Emmerich was beatified by Pope John Paul II on October 3, 2004, during a ceremony in St. Peter's Square, Vatican City. We have come to the end of another inspiring story of faith and devotion. Leave a comment below, telling us the story of which saint you would like to see here on the channel. And until the next story.